Hey, let's talk about some trucking spot market stuff, shall we? Right after this. Good morning. Testing one, two. Let's change my volume on this. All right. Good morning. It's Monday, October 16th. Hope all is well with all of yous. It was a pretty interesting weekend. Spent most of it upgrading my security around the house since the break-in, and so we got that kind of lined out. Got to take our minivan to the shop today, and deal with that. And then I've got some fairly decent dispatch this morning, or not this morning, but this week coming up. So, so those I'm part of the Pew Pew gang, and there's a couple of channels that have been talking about ammo shortages coming, and this will relate to trucking. Just give me a second here. And a friend of mine Saturday night told me, hey, the ammo plant in Independence, which I've delivered to, pretty cool place. Takes about an hour to check in because they got to do background check. They search your truck, the whole 9 yards. And I got there, and so he's telling me about how they are not doing citizen sales now. In other words, the contracts that they have for distributors that sell to civilians, they're not doing that anymore, and they account for 30% of the 5.56, 223, and 45. And I thought, man, that's interesting. And then there's another report about the Hornady plant in Nebraska that had a major fire, killed one person. And so I'm like, I bet you anything there's going to be a run on ammo. And sure enough, I get to Bass Pro last night, and it was crazy. I hadn't seen that kind of run on ammo since since the pandemic. And it made me think about other things that might occur. So obviously, these manufacturers are preparing for something. Now it could be war, it could be government is saying, "Hey, we're only going to make it for us now." Either way, that's going to change dynamics if there's other shortages in play, related to stuff happening in the Middle East or actually across the world, because you've got the Taiwan China thing, you've got the Ukraine Russia thing, and you got a potential conflict in three different um, borders, and so if you guys, since none of you were alive during World War II that are watching this, during World War II there was a lot of rationing, and Americans had to sacrifice a lot of luxuries to facilitate the war. And so just something to keep in mind. I'm not fear mongering. All I know is that at Bass Pro, they were out of 5.56 almost. Like there's like a couple of boxes left. There was very little 223 left, and people were just buying ammo left and right, like it was going out of style. And that seems to be the cycle. We talk about a shortage online, and then people make a run for that stuff, and just like the toilet paper thing, it's something to be aware of. So the difficult part is being aware of social media and news without letting it take you down, because it can kind of cloud your judgments, and it can keep you from making good decisions based out of fear. Like, I don't know, expanding your empire, or things of that nature. Working towards the future. It's hard to work towards the future if you think it's bleak, and so you got to make sure it doesn't affect you in that way. So, but anyways, we'll do some shout outs. We'll look at the 123 low board. My email was very, very quiet last week. A lot of these brokers that had these dedicated runs they were trying to fill, they were not emailing me anymore. The stuff on the DAP board was pretty much scraps. There was at one point where I was helping Shannon look for a load out of South Carolina, and she wanted to get back to Michigan. And so there was like over 700 some odd loads within a 150-mile radius of where she was landing on the DAP board, but only like 20 of them were going within 150 miles of Flint. And out of those 20, it was horrible rates. You're talking like $1.40, $1.50, 4-day transit for $1,000, stuff like that. And while that would cover her costs, obviously she decided to do something else, and she's down in Louisiana, but not much of a better area than South Carolina, but she'll make it work. But I was really surprised. So out of the 700 some odd loads with the 150-mile radius, they were all either going northeast, northwest, Florida, or California. Like all the good loads going into the Midwest from these four corners are few and far between, and they're not hitting the low board. So, in a lot of these dedicated runs that brokers have been offering, that wanted rate lane quotes, they're all taken. Everybody's kind of settled in. Everybody's getting ready for the winter, and the Christmas rush, if you can call it that, is here and now. And starting, it's probably kind of late. A lot of the stuff that needed to ship to distribution centers has already, they're already there. Other than some last minute stuff, it's already in those distribution centers. And so there'll be an uptick of contract freight to deliver from distribution to stores, I believe. But from what I'm observing, it seems to be calming down on the rates, but they're holding tight. It's becoming more and more difficult to negotiate. And if you can afford to hold the line, you'll find something, but you're usually going to end up in an area that you don't want to be in. That's just my observation. I could be wrong. Don't take my word for it. I'm not sonar. I'm not, I'm not anybody special. I'm just a guy that observes things and realizes that, hey, no one was emailing me last week. Hey, it was a struggle to get anything that breaks $2 a mile. Hey, these are all places that nobody wants to go. And, and, and it's evidence when I look at the Samsara and I look to see where all the trucks are. When I see a lot of trucks in a bad state, I know that they're pretty much feeling the same thing. So it's that's what I look at. I look at intention and I look at trends. I look to see where the river is flowing, and there was a couple of things that did not sit well with me last week. So, but last week was kind of a light dispatch week for me. So, but anyways, we should have a couple more that's joining today or this week, and we're going to try to help some people make some money. I hope you have a good cup of coffee on you. And let's do some shout outs. Now, if you're not a member, I encourage you because one of the things I do for the members is I do guitar live feeds on Saturday nights, sometimes. And Sterling Willie got me this great pedal, and man, I love that thing. I wish I would have had that 20 years ago, but I don't think it exists. Well, maybe it did partially exist. At least 10 years ago it did. But anyways, I go live with that. It's interesting maybe to some of you, and I put it members only on the replay. So, all right. So let's do some shout outs. We got some cool people in here. You're all cool if you're in the chat there. My name is Nobody. Good morning. Greg Zimmer. Good morning. Haven't talked to you in a minute. CB from Marcy, New York. Where is Marcy, New York? Is that upstate or in the bad zone? CDN Freight Broker. Good morning. Carnivore Trucker. Also, I was live on Carnivore Trucker's channel last night with Ground Beef Guy and Carnivore Wolf. Both drivers that do the carnivore diet style. So go check that out. The replay is up there for you to watch. It was a good time. I talked too much though, and Carnivore Trucker called me a name after I left. So there's that. Randy, what's up? Good morning from Wildwood, Florida. On the road again, says Randy. Blessed morning, Steve, and everyone on the live. Thank you, Glenn. Desert Okie Pam. Good morning. Hope you're all well. I haven't talked to your boss there, Scott, in a while. Hope he's doing okay. TK, hey now. Haven't talked to your boss in a while either. On the road again. Why on the road? Interesting trivial fact. Well, maybe not interesting, but the very first song I ever sang live was On the Road Again by Willie Nelson. It was in my dad's band, and I was 8. So there's that. Alfalfa, hey y'all. Good morning. BLR, good morning. Pro tip from CDM Freight Broker. If you have a drink near your keyboard, place it further than a length of a cup. That way, if the cup spills, it won't spill directly on the keyboard. Do you know that by experience, CDN, or is that something that you figured out on your own? The easy way. Pigtail, good morning. Went into caves last week in Independence. Good old Geospace. Geospace is tight. That was the first cave I ever entered, and I think that if I have a choice, I choose not to go into those Independence caves. It's just the first time I went into those caves, I was green, and the way that receiver did it is he followed this dude on a go-kart. There's like 6 of us, delivering at the same time, and each driver helped each other out. So that was the cool part. The not cool part, especially as a newbie behind the wheel, was the pressure of 8 people watching you, wanting you to hurry up, and you're not, you're watching like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're watching 10 corners. The upper parts, 4 upper parts of the trailer, the 4 lower parts of the trailer, and then also your bumper on the truck. So um, it could be very nerve wracking. So, but hopefully you made it out of there okay, unscathed. I know a driver that did not make it out of there unscathed. I almost didn't make it out of there unscathed. That first right turn, man, if you're not wide, you're going to hit that first wall there on one of the entrances there. Cheap Freight Hauler, good morning. CDM Freight Broker. Steve, if many brokers stopped emailing you for whatever reason this week, take a few minutes to reach out. All you have to do is ask if they have any loads they need help with. I do that. I just, I just noticed that when they're not emailing. So I did finally get some Grovetown stuff that I like doing. So and they've been emailing like crazy, and it's interesting because their rates have lowered, which is why they're having trouble filling those loads. But because they can, because the Atlanta market is just crap. So it's and I noticed that when the rates lowered, that's when they start sending more emails out because less and less people are doing them now. But it still pays better than most of the stuff coming out, so I'm still willing to book some of that. Rich S, just a guy who knows a lot about the industry. I know a little bit. I don't know a lot, but I know a little bit. There's a lot of things that I still need to learn, but I appreciate that, Rich. If the brokers don't respond, then you can dive into why. One broker will share some insights into their situation. There you go. Mr. Berger, good morning. Lord of Swords, been forever since I cut you live in the morning. Yes, it has been. It's been it's almost as been as long as since you've done a video. So, Mr. Berger, I don't even think he reveals who he's driving for now. You have your own live sonar via fax of Sam Sarah. Yes. Berger, good morning, says Mrs. A. Gen Z Trucking, what's up? Let's see. Rockin' Robin Trucking, good morning. Good cup of coffee is a personal requirement. There you go. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are recovering. Shannon, good morning. I was talking about you. Russell Freight Services, good morning, everyone. Brokers and carriers, says Rich S., bid themselves out of business due to supply and demand pressures. This is true. Brokers, I talked to one broker on the regular, and even though I've done very few of his loads, because he's admitted that his bosses underbid everything, and so he's under the pressure of trying to move freight at the rates that are angering drivers, and they're getting upset with him because he's under pressure to keep the rates to a certain level, and so that's a lot of pressure. And and as a driver, as an owner op, you can either sit for 2 days deadhead or take that really low rate. I mean, that's where we're at. So it's about mindset and reaction. It's about how do you handle these different scenarios, and how do you handle stress. That's a big part. Shannon was live yesterday morning, and she talked about how she'd been running pretty hard, and she was kind of strung out. And there are times when balance has to be a part of the equation. For me, it was always about balance of freedom and home time, or I mean, money and home time. And there were times when I was at home too much, and there was times I was on the road too much. So it's a give and take situation. It's a love-hate relationship, and having balance is incredibly important, because if you lose balance, then you become dangerous. I mean, I watched a person have an accident because they were too strung out. Their costs were too high, and they were under a $1.70 load. Actually, I think it was less than that. I think it was like $1.40 a mile, and it was a horrible load. But they had no choice. They can't sit. They didn't want a deadhead, and they made a mistake, and it's probably going to cost him. It's probably going to be a blessing to that person because they were in a situation that they were never going to dig themselves out of, and that's not balance. That's not happiness. That's not. It's not. You can't reach contentment like that. You can't reach contentment without balance. And so if you find yourself overworking for very little pay, that's not sustainable. So, cheap freight hauler getting loaded, Georgia, Houston dry van. Heading to Houston. Well, we can take a look at Houston coming out. Carnivore Wolf. I was sleep deprived, so I'll let you carry the stream. So it was fun. Carnivore Werewolf. Sorry. Yes. I have not revealed anything. I'm always busy with other things, so my YouTube is taking a back seat. It's always it's funny. I think I just now surpassed Steve Berger's channel on subscriber count, but his channel does really good when he does the video every blue moon. Buck Brown, yo, what's up? Sean, flat holiday season over here. My 7th season. Orange, you're doing good, man. Are you doing the? Well, that's not good if it's flat. The heyday of Schneider was when it was before Amazon bought all those trailers, and doing Amazon work was cream of the crop. Steve Berger can attest to that. I can attest to that. And now that Amazon's kind of figured it out, they don't need Schneider. They don't need the Schneiders anymore. So, and then the other holiday element of Schneider is that the OCs become full of trailers that are being used for storage because they wanted you to pick up the loads in, September and October and then not deliver them till November. And so that became annoying because you couldn't find a place to sleep there at the OC. I heard a rumor. This is just a rumor. This is just hearsay. But I watched someone mention that Schneider Finance has had over 800 trucks turned in. And I don't know what that time period is. But if they got 800 empty trucks sitting there because no one can afford them, someone needs to reevaluate something. That's, again, I'm not a market expert, but to me, that seems like a bad deal all the way around. I've been getting emails from Schneider National on their truck sales. I've been getting a lot. There's a lot of trucks available. So, but their prices really aren't much better than anybody else. The flip side is broker said I quoted high and doesn't have the freight, or they bid lower and carriers are mad. Shippers and the customers are the head of rates in the lane. I agree with that. So Steve Berger says you always knew it's going to be a good holiday season at the Pumpkin when the DTS trailers overran the terminals. Yes. And that was, I mean, Schneider has a system that if you learned and you paid attention, Steve Berger's had some really great videos on how to utilize and manipulate the low boards. And he made it work. He did it in the Schneider Finance truck for a year and a half, and then he got his own truck and did it while still raising a family. And he's doing pretty good now. So he's not Schneider anymore, but he's it was costing him money because of that trailer pool. That's the price you pay for the luxury of drop and hook is in contract freight is you have a 50,000 trailer, pool, and you're going to find out that you're going to feel like you are the only one that does a pre-trip and post-trip and gives a crap about what the tires and brakes look like. So I've been told to pick up empties that literally had 0 doors on them. So I mean, I don't miss that. I don't miss that part of it at all. So, but all right. So let's go to the 1, 2, 3 low board, shall we? And we'll look for van out of Houston for you guys. We'll take. Well, let's do this. Let's do load availability first. Now, when Jeff does his 1, 2, 3 low boards, he loves looking at that load planner function, which is a pretty cool function. From the way Jeff uses it, it seems pretty cool. Um, but I've never used that function. So this is the load planner. Um, Jeff is better about explaining this. You can basically select several loads, enter your mile per gallon, enter whatever truck you're dealing with. And then it's kind of like DAT's tri-haul, and so you can kind of piece things together. It's a good research tool. So I have a buddy of mine that basically ran mock loads off the 123 load board to see if, basically used it as a business plan to see if he can make it. And of course, his life turned into different directions, so he never went with that. But it was a good research tool, and so when Jeff goes live about the 123 load board, keep an eye on that if he does that. So, anyways, let's go to Van here. Van apply. It's not going to be changed much from Friday when I did this. Oregon's yellow instead of red, so let's take a look at what's coming out of Oregon. Now, here in about 2 weeks, if it's not already started, you're going to start seeing a lot of Christmas trees. And as it gets cooler, they're going to be able to put those Christmas trees into vans. At Landstar, they were pretty prominent. They were a good way to make money during this season. And now it's messy. If you've got wood walls, you definitely don't want to do these trees. But basically, they wrap them in this netting. They stack them like toothpick style in your trailer, and then they ice them down. And so, and you got to stop if you're going all the way across country or you have multiple stops, you have to ice them down. And so there's a lot of miles on these. There's a lot of stops on these, but they could make some money. Now, I've never visited those options on the spot market. I never did those when I was at Landstar, but I know people that did that, and that was how they made their money during the Christmas season. They did okay enough that December 1st rolled around, they just took the rest of the year off, which was a goal of mine when I was at Landstar. I didn't like running between December and January, and because of weather, because of holidays, things get crazy around here at home during the holidays. I want to support my wife, so these are, but Christmas trees are a thing. They come out of Oregon, they come out of Washington, they also come out of Michigan. So, it's like Pepsi Logistics has quite a bit of their loads. Let's take a look at. They're just shorties going to Portland, or from Portland to Sumner. So, and we're already starting to see. This is a light load, so imagine it might be snacks or something. California, Iowa. Here's one going to the Midwest. $3,000. Oh, load's gone. Never mind. Let's see. California, Arizona. Here's one going to the Midwest. Picks up today. ATS Transportation, which I've had decent luck with them. Forest Grove, Oregon, going to Tip City, Ohio. They are they're not too bad when it comes to the cargo chief. You're always going to take a hit van coming out. Racks and floor loaded potted plants. So there you go. First come, first serve. Must have straps and locks to secure freight. Pickup number gives you everything you need right here. I'm surprised they're putting the pickup number on there. That can end badly for them. So if we sort this by pickup, let's sort this by pickup date. See how many loads are left for the day. A lot of them going to California. Yeah, all the short stuff going to California no one wants. Look at all this. Now, it's early yet, so a lot of these are 8+ hour old postings, so these loads might not even exist. The DAT does that too. Let's sort this by highest rate per mile. It's going to be all that short stuff going to California. 403 a mile to go from Oregon to Washington for 149 miles, $600. Portland to Sandpoint, Idaho. That wouldn't be too bad. 296 a mile, 1230. But then you're going to deadhead out of Idaho, so it kind of levels it out. Denver, Eugene to Denver, $1.95. Let's see where the cargo chief's at. 25.95. So they're not too far. It says 45,000 pounds. You better have chains. Picks up Thursday though, so they're probably not going to budge on that rate. Let's see. So let's do the highest rate to see where the long haul stuff is going. See if you can keep up a decent rate per day there. Vale, Oregon to Pennsylvania, $1.67 a mile, $4,000. Last year that was paying like six. Tip City, Ohio, $1.58 a mile, 3,800. That's the ATS load. Potted plant, so it's going to be messy when you deliver. So your highest rates are going to Oregon, or your still highest rates are going to Pennsylvania. There's one for Ohio, couple to Atlanta, Texas. There you go, Mount Pleasant, Ohio. This is actually not a bad rate for the Midwest. Again, it's not until Thursday, so. Oh. So, anyways, let's take a look at Pennsylvania. Let's see what kind of long haul we got going on out of there. CDN, I can tell you how many times shippers ask me to find a cheap truck because their competition located closer to end customers. Freight cost affects some suppliers' competitiveness. That's true. Rich, CDN, but brokers and carriers don't have to take those loads that don't cover carrier costs. And according to industry stats, that's something like $225 per mile. That's the challenge right now. Is it's very rare that you're going to cover that. Dan's Hotshot Trucking. Good morning. Got to run, Lord of Snore, out off to the garage to fix my car while the truck's in the shop. I'll catch you later. Good deal. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate you and everyone who rely on the boards. Thank you, Buck Brown. All right, just double checking. My phone vibrated. All right, so this is out of Pennsylvania. The highest gross revenue is 4,300 out of Pennsylvania going to California. $1.24. So you're under that load for quite a bit. That's 6,000 pounds. But this goes to what I was talking about. These are all different days. They're either going to Florida, California, Texas, Louisiana, which isn't great. Nothing going to the Midwest. Colorado, $1.53 to go into Colorado. Florida, Aurora, nothing going to the Midwest. So if you live in Ohio or Illinois, you probably don't want to go to Pennsylvania. Now, you could take this York, PA to Brookhaven. Get them up a little bit on that price. Depending on what the load volumes are of where you're at. Nose itches. 18,000 pounds, so that's good. It's cookies. So you get the Carbolicious. Let's see what the toll costs are. No toll costs from York to Brookhaven. Brookhaven's going to be Walmart, and might have to deadhead up to the Memphis market to get out of there. But Brookhaven's not a bad place to be, better than Louisiana or Florida or Dallas. But not one load go, okay, here we go. York, PA to Northfield, Minnesota. This isn't until Friday. Is that right? Yeah, Friday. And by the time you're empty in Northfield or in York on Friday, this is going to be gone. Someone's going to take it for the 1662. 9,300 pounds. So obviously this broker has a deal with the cookie place there, and they're moving these loads, and they're going to do the whole, well, we move these all day and every day for this amount. So Cargo Chief is proof of that. Cargo Chief's at 1669, and they're at 1662. So you're going to struggle to get between $1.78 and $1.40 coming out of there. So that's the bad part about if you're going to the Midwest. It's going to be a little bit higher if you're doing something else. Now here's 84 PA, 237 a mile going to Jackson, Tennessee. There you go, 4 stops. I'm going to guess these are 2 pickups and 2 deliveries. And now 697 miles. Supposedly you're going to pick up on the 18th, which is Wednesday, and deliver the 19th. One day later with 4 stops, and you're going to cover 700 miles. So yeah, there's that. So they got a little bit more detail down here, but and they're above Cargo Chief, obviously. 300 some odd dollars, $300 is what they think that those stops are worth. All right. But that Jackson, Tennessee would be a better place to land than, I don't know, Massachusetts. All right, let's take a look at the Reefer World, because the Reefer World has all the food that we're collecting for the holidays, all the candy for Halloween, which is already in the stores, obviously. But now you're shipping Christmas and Thanksgiving. Actually, Thanksgiving's probably already shipped for most frozen or processed food. So look at South Dakota light up. So let's see what's going on in South Dakota here. 234 mile to go into California, Long Beach. 313 to get to San Antonio. Reefer rates are doing fairly good. So let's do this by highest rate per mile. See what we pop up with. Yeah, 313 to go to Texas. Here we go. 312 to go to South Dakota to Crawfordsville, Indiana. There you go. Let's see what the catch is, if there's anything. Way above Cargo Chief, so they're at 2250. Cargo Chief's at 1715. Rate checks at 1615.2. Picks up today at 1. There you go. Delivers at 9 p.m. on Tuesday. So it's a bit, you're going to be booking, but you're out there in the wide open. So you'll be able to cover those miles fairly easy with no major cities to deal with. Other than Chicagoland, I guess, if you go that way. But if you drop down to 70, then no, that's not where Crawfordsville is. I don't know, I'm dumb. Here we go. Lake Norn, South Dakota, Beaver Dam. Good rate going in, and then out of Beaver Dam, you're going to get a good rate coming out. Picks up Wednesday at 1 p.m., delivers at 4 a.m. in Beaver Dam. That's probably going to be Walmart, I think. Either that or I forget the other one that's up there. Here we go. Millbank, South Dakota to Carthage, Missouri. You can come visit me. We hang out. Also Wednesday, delivers Thursday, the next day at 10 a.m. 632 miles. That's a little tight there. So if you call on this and you think you can pull that off, because Carthage might be like forgiving on the delivery, but you want to call to see if you can come in early. Most brokers will tell you if you can, Whether or not they know what they're talking about or whether they're telling you the truth, that's a different story. I've had both. It depends on how much, and if they go, I don't know, then expect problems because they obviously don't know their customer. Salina, Kansas, $800. So 2,700 to go to Delaware, of course. That's where. So they're only paying $1.90 to go from South Dakota to Dover, Delaware. So that's interesting. But so Utah's lit up as well. Probably a lot of chips. Of course, chips don't. Well, I guess chips can go in a reefer. Potatoes, onions, things of that nature. I don't know if they're in season right now. I know potatoes are, I think. Let's see. So there's that. So Reefer's got a little bit more green than Van does, obviously. As you can see, the Southeast is just so much of a crap show. I don't care what well, except for flatbed maybe, but yeah, Georgia's green, but because of the colors of these other states, you're looking at a soft market regardless, because they affect these markets. If you're in Florida, you're probably going to deadhead to Georgia. If you're in Mississippi, you're going to deadhead to Arkansas, that kind of thing. So, and then of course Jersey, is always green, but because of the rest of the Northeast, it's a challenge to get a good rate out of there. So CDN says, I could be wrong, but even if you're an owner operator or one carrier MC holder, you still need to find ways to have low cost to operate. You can have a direct shipper who pays you at your requested rate. Next 6 months later, shipper says the end customer has complained about their freight costs compared to other vendors. What will you do? Leave or find a way to reduce your rate? That's the challenging competitive market that we live in. And yes, it's important for anybody. I don't care if you're at Schneider. I don't care if you're a single truck operation. I don't care if you got a hot dog stand downtown. You got to keep your costs as low as possible. That's how it is. So you could be a door dasher. You're going to need to keep those costs low. So, all right, let's take a look at flatbed. I don't know. I don't dispatch any flatbeds. Um, I have in the past, but it was fairly easy. Um, the only challenges were from the actual drivers. So, um, so it looks like from this map you can bounce from the southeast to the upper Midwest. If you like the long haul, then you can probably make a trail from Washington, Oregon back to Georgia, Alabama. But you're dealing with heavy loads. You're dealing with a lot of lumber. You're dealing with a lot of stuff that requires tarping. And then and when you get in this area, tarping in cold temperatures, it's going to start becoming a challenge later. I know a few owner operators that own a flatbed and a van. So when it comes to a certain point in the season, they will switch the van and they'll just run that until spring when flatbed freight picks up. So that's something that, of course, it takes money to own two trailers and maintain them and upkeep them and keep them inspected and all that. But some of the more successful people that I knew at Landstar, that's what they did. But yeah, I mentioned the ammo shortage in the beginning. I predict there are going to be other shortages, and what that does, whether there's a true shortage or not, what that does is that means that they're going to up the price on it, and just be aware. And if you can find a resource that can tell you what parts will be on shortages for your trucks, that might be, like last year, I knew that PACCAR was having issues with filters. So I went out and spent $400 on fuel filters. That gave me 4 of each because in the Kenworth 680s there's 2, and um, that came in handy because there was a time where I needed fuel filter change. Like, well, we don't have any. I said, well, it's a good thing I got some in my truck. So just or if you know that if the def pump goes bad and you know that's a part that's missing, you might have to buy the whole, you know, you might have to buy more than what you need, and you're going to have to be aggressive on finding those parts. I know people that have sat for months because they weren't aggressive on finding their parts. I believe Big Rig CEO and I, he did a whole thing about that on this channel. Um, you got to be aggressive on finding your parts. You don't just want to sit in a hotel and be, oh, poor woe is me. You want to be aggressive. You want to be proactive. And this is a time of year where you got to be proactive or you're going to be left in the dust. And this little rush that we're seeing in some parts of the country, you're going to be left behind. Also, your skill set of getting out of dead areas is going to need to be increased because, as you can see from these low boards, um, we can sit there and say, well, stay in the Midwest, stay in the Midwest. Well, guess what? If you're trying to achieve a certain goal or achieve a certain amount of money, you're going to go to a dead area. You're going to go to an area that's going to be difficult to get out. You're going to go to an area you're going to take a hit. So you don't want to focus on just the one load. So you need to make sure that if you have knowledge of going into a dead area, look at the ratios and find out, okay, what profit margin do I need from this load going in that I can make coming out? And at the end of the day, you should be above your cost with some profitability. Profitability is 100% based on your cost. And if your costs are pretty high, it's harder to be profitable. That's business 101. That's no expert. That's just law of nature, I guess. Um, so just keep that in mind. James G, what's up? Strange question, Steve. Often you say get the rate up a bit and you'd be good to go. What will you do when you post a load as a broker? Intentionally post the rate low so you can come up or next? Waiting. No, either CDN got distracted or he is still typing. So, all right. Okay, here we go. Or post max so you can pay and say this is all I have in it. I'm curious how someone who understands both sides what you believe would be a good strategy from a broker perspective. Roundtable topic. I know on the one load that I moved, we started low and there was no hits, so we picked a mid range and that did okay. But I definitely wouldn't want to post the max rate in the beginning because we were feeling things out, but we were also aware of the market that was coming out. And we did this with the approach of giving it to one of our drivers who can take it. Um, so I do understand both sides, and that's something that I would have to feel out. Depends on the product, depends on the locations. Um, but it was amazing how many drivers told me to post it real low and try to move it, and then and then people complain that brokers are doing that. So when the tides are turned, a lot of drivers will do the same thing that brokers are. So, um, but we knowing the markets and knowing the terrain and knowing the challenges that's important. So I don't see myself ever being the guy that has to move 50 water loads a month because I don't know. I think that's beyond my comprehension. There's still a lot of things I'm learning. Um, I know a lot. I know a little bit, but I don't know everything. And there are people that are probably laughing at me and calling me an a-hole right now as we speak. Hate watching, and that's fine because I know what I know. I know what's worked. As an owner operator for 8 years, I never went out of business. I still own equipment, and I've seen so many people's lives destroyed by being an owner operator. And I've seen people try to become brokers that, I talked to a good friend of mine. He got into the brokering world and then realized what it entailed, and then he bailed. Because he didn't want his life to be like that. And that's fine, but this industry will chew you up and spit you out. And to the point that good people are leaving the industry. And all you got left is the people that you can make videos of, and make thousands of hits off of by showing them destroying truck stops and other trucks and cars and, destroying each other. So, I mean, but I've seen people literally just obliterate their entire life, their lives over the dedication of owning a truck. And I know people that have done everything right and they still get spit up and chewed out. So you have to be on your A game. You have a lot of big players that you're going against. Single owner operator, you're like that little boutique at the strip mall next to a Walmart. I mean, you've got some challenges ahead of you. And so it goes back to the four strengths that you need, because and you need that in a good market. You need to be efficient in a good market. You need to have your costs as low as possible in a good market. You need to prepare for the bad times in a good market. And one of the mistakes that I made is, if you run your truck, like if you barely run when rates are good, because it's easy to make your money, then when rates are bad, now you're having to run extra hard, and that's when the truck decides it needs money, and you can't afford the repairs. I've been there. I've done that. So that's a mistake that I've made a couple of times. And so I come from a place of experience, not I know more than you. It's like I've messed up more than you. So these are all things that I've learned and paid attention to when I've made those mistakes. And I've watched other people literally just destroy their lives, their families' lives, their financial, for the love of calling themselves an owner operator or a lease operator. And you got to be smarter than that. You got to figure it out better than that. I get that as well, where carriers say you're paying too much. If a carrier takes a load below what you're offering, I'm curious how many people will lower the rate and the customer or pocket profit. We were willing to take a hit on this load because it was our first load. Jeff and I talked about it, and if we had to, we had to. It was more of a learning experience than a profiting experience. So that's kind of how we approached it. But at any rate, I think we're going to end this live feed. We're almost at an hour. I've been trying to do these a little bit shorter. 48065 or 480. Yeah, let me see here. Here's my manner. So 48065 for my code if you want to try out the 123 load board. There's a lot of tools here, guys. You have load planner. You have a place to keep your loads. You can hide brokers. You can favorite brokers. Here's the companies: onboarded, favorite, blocked, hidden. You can post your truck. You can do a rate check. Gives your this will also give you your tolls. You have a profit calculator. Has everything, and the profit calculator is also on the load. You can put in your, they call it dispatch fee, but you can put your percentage that you get. You can put your miles per gallon, and you could set this up. You have a place to hold your documents. Let's see. There's roadside assistance you can sign up for. Um, let's see. We've got some resources if you decide you want to get your authority. So, lot of tools here. A lot of tools. So, has your recent searches right here. Busiest day, you can have you can see where you're at. Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday seems to be when I'm most booking loads off of here. So, and then you've got messages where you can message brokers, so like, hey, here's a load, here's a load. So, and then you can bid. So, but lots of tools. 48065 is the code. If you want to check it out, it's in the description of the channel or of the video. Let's do some more comments here. Wow. Anyone can kill a buck during the rut. It takes a real hunter to kill a mature buck in December. Same with trucking. This is true. I couldn't kill a buck in December. I failed at that. Still look for a driver, owner, operator, or lease to own driver to cover a seasonal contract. There you go. James G's got the contract. He has no driver. T-Bone, what's up? Good morning. And he lives up in Michigan. This is so you might want to get deal. The real RD. Today's spot market report equals spot market is still trash. You're not in the spot market anymore, right, RD? Be safe, everyone. Have a great Let's Go Make Some Money. There you go. Great show this morning. Thank you, CDN. How come you don't do live feeds like you used to anymore? I'm doing a live feed right now. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Real RD. I did a guitar live feed on Saturday. Now, I haven't done the Ask Me Anything live feed on Saturday night. I haven't done that in a while, but family. I'm hanging out with my family on Saturday night, so it's a bit of a challenge. And then the Saturday morning live feeds on the small channel, I've been busy, so I haven't been able to do that. But I've been doing the same kind of live feeds for the last year and a half now. There, Mr. RD, since I've been out of the truck. So, anyways, everybody, take care, be safe. Out perception, outlook, positive mindset. Don't be watching the trash. You'll be all right. Strength for today, hope for tomorrow. Peace out.